Today, we are diving into a really fascinating legal case from way back in 1903 that completely rewrote the rules for contracts with minors. It's got everything: a huge loan, a bold legal challenge, and a final verdict that, believe it or not, still protects young people today. So, let's get right into it. But first, let me ask you this. Imagine you make a deal with a 16-year-old. You pay them up front, but they just don't do their part. What can you do? I mean, can you actually sue them to get your money back? This exact question is right at the heart of the story we're about to explore. All right, so our story kicks off in 1903. It's about a deal that looked pretty simple on the surface, but it had a massive legal flaw hiding in plain sight. Let's meet the key players. First up, we've got Dharmodas Ghose. Now, he was legally a minor, not yet an adult, but here's the thing. He was wealthy and owned some very valuable property. So he wasn't just some kid, he had real assets. And on the other side of this deal, that would be Mohori Bibee, a professional moneylender. She saw what she thought was a good business deal and decided to go for it with young Dharmodas Ghose. And we're not talking about pocket change here, especially for 1903. The loan was for 20,000 rupees, a huge sum back then. And to get it, Dharmodas Ghose had to mortgage his property. So yeah, the stakes were incredibly high for everyone involved. Okay, now this right here is probably the most important fact in the entire case. This wasn't a misunderstanding. The lender, Mohori Bibee, was officially told in writing that Dharmodas Ghose was a minor before the deal was finalized. She knew exactly what she was doing. So it's no surprise that things went south. Dharmodas Ghose, through his guardian, actually sued to get the mortgage canceled. And this landed a really interesting legal puzzle right in the court's lap. The whole thing really came down to three big questions. First, and this is the most basic one, is a contract with a minor even a real legal thing? Second, does it make any difference that the lender knew he was a minor? And finally, if the contract is no good, could Mohori Bibee at least get her 20,000 rupees back? To figure this out, the court had to go all the way back to the fundamentals of contract law. And when they did, they found a flaw so deep, so basic, that the entire deal just fell apart. You see, the court's whole argument rested on this one simple idea from the law. Section 11 of the Indian Contract Act couldn't be clearer. You have to be an adult of the age of majority to be competent to contract. And if you're not competent, well, then you just can't form a legally binding contract. Simple as that. And that leads us to this really important legal term, void ab initio. It's Latin, and it means void from the beginning. So get this, the contract wasn't just broken or something that could be canceled. In the eyes of the law, it had never existed at all. It was a complete legal nothing from the very start. So with that major principle established, the highest court at the time, the Privy Council, was all set to give its final verdict. And this decision was going to change everything for cases like this in the future. And the ruling was crystal clear. Any contract made with a minor isn't just shaky or voidable, it is absolutely void from the very beginning. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a solid, unbreakable rule. So what about the fact that Mohori Bibee knew she was dealing with a minor? Well, the court said it didn't matter one bit. Whether the lender knew or had no idea, the result is exactly the same. The contract was never real. Which brings us to the last big question, the one about the money. Okay, so the contract is void, but what about the cash? Surely the court would make Dharmodas Ghose give back the loan, right? Under a principle called restitution? Well, surprisingly, the court said no. And the reason is a little tricky, but super important. The law says you can get your money back through restitution only when a valid agreement later becomes void. But in this case, the agreement was void from the very beginning. Since a real contract never existed, there was no legal hook to hang a repayment order on. The lender was just out of luck. So what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway? Well, this case was about way more than just one loan. It actually created a powerful legal shield to protect young people, and its legacy is all about a few key ideas. So here's what this case established, boiled down. 1, minors are legally incapable of making a contract. 2, any deal they make is void from the start. 3, you can't force them to return money or goods they got from that void deal. And 4, a minor can't be held to a contract even if they lied about their age. That's a legal concept called estoppel, and the court said it just doesn't apply to minors. This case also helps us bust some really common myths. A lot of people think a minor's contract is just voidable, meaning the kid can decide to cancel it. The reality? It's totally void. There's nothing to cancel. Another myth is that if a minor lies about their age, that's fraud, so they have to pay up. But the court made it clear. Since a valid contract couldn't exist in the first place, the legal idea of fraud just doesn't even come into play. So if you remember just one thing from all this, make it this. The final, non-negotiable rule from this case is that a contract with a minor is absolutely 100% void and unenforceable. End of story. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. This law is obviously a shield, right? It's there to protect young people from being taken advantage of. But it does make you wonder, could that same protective shield ever be used as a sword? Could a minor use this rule to knowingly and unfairly take advantage of someone else? It's definitely something to think about.